can't be it, bro. That's way too simple. Why won't you answer me? Oh, it's you. I've locked myself in a room for weeks trying to ponder the answer to a question. If I'm being honest, I'm going a little bit crazy. But I do think I found the answer. What is the question? That's simple. What is the first modern Sonic game? A question like this might seem a bit odd to some. What do you mean by modern Sonic? Isn't that just Sonic? Although it is true that the character is still Sonic no matter what game he's in, the fanbase and even Sega themselves have expressed that a divide exists in how the character is represented. So I thought it would be interesting to dive into the topic and put in my own 2 cents and see which Sonic game I believe fits the description for modern Sonic earliest in the series. The first thing to figuring out what defines a modern Sonic game is to figure out what caused the divide in the first place. The easiest game to look to decide this will be Sonic Generations, the catalyst of the whole divide in the first place. In Generations, each level is divided into 2 acts, with each act using a different playstyle for Sonic, with Act 1 being for a more classic playstyle and for Act 2 being in a more modern playstyle. I'm going to focus specifically on the benchmarks for being considered classic. In Generations, classic Sonic is defined by his exclusively 2D gameplay, no voice acting, and not having certain abilities like the homing attack, but instead having the spin dash, as opposed to modern Sonic, who has voice acting, mostly 3D gameplay, and the homing attack among other things. As good as these are as examples, these are mostly changes that came as a response to the divide, not the cause of the divide itself. To figure that out, we have to look at probably the most obvious change between the 2 styles, the third dimension. Now, although it's easy just to see this information to just point fingers at Sonic Jam, which featured the first fully 3D Sonic engine, or the cancelled Sonic X-treme, but I'm not sure if I would consider these modern due to them pretty clearly being the same classic Sonic elements, just in 3D. It's no secret that video games going from 2D to 3D led to a lot of changes to their respective series when they made the leap, like Mario collecting stars and having a hub world instead of a world map. Sonic was no different in this regard, although the goal of the level stayed the same. He gained a new design, a voice actor, and a plethora of new moves to utilize. Well, that settles it. The first modern Sonic game is Sonic Adventure. Or is it? Well, you see, although the answer may satisfy some Sonic fans and Sega themselves, others disagree, myself included. You see, although Sonic's transition to the third dimension is generally seen as his modernization, the fans have come up with their own outline for what they consider to be the guidelines for a modern Sonic game. With the 2008 release of Sonic Unleashed, the series introduced a new type of Sonic gameplay that was different from Sonic Adventure's semi-linear, more openly designed platforming levels to a more linear style that focused on keeping up momentum with more straightforward level design. This change in style has been dubbed Boost Sonic by many members of the Sonic community. This distinction is important to this discussion, since I believe that this type of Sonic gameplay is the more up-to-date definition of modern Sonic. Now, before we start diving in too deep, we should set the rules of what is considered a boost game. What place would be better to start talking about Boost Sonic than with the boost mechanic? A feature that arguably had its start in Sonic Heroes' bonus stages is, as you could likely tell, an integral component of Boost Sonic. Shocking, I know. It is a move that Sonic possesses that allows you to press, or otherwise hold down a button in order to greatly increase Sonic's acceleration as long as it's activated, leading to Sonic rushing through enemies and stage decorations, causing Sonic Unleashed to run at 5 frames per second. The amount you boost is usually visualized by some sort of meter on screen and depletes over time if it's held down. Except for Sonic Unleashed Wii, where it's in segments due to boosting being tied to shaking the Wii remote for some reason. The meter can be refilled by correcting rings or wisps depending on the game, but can alternatively be increased by destroying those
Eggman's robots!
Or by drifting, but only on Unleashed for some odd reason. The use of boosting is primarily for getting through a level quicker, in an enjoyable fashion. And if the player is able to chain together moves and keep speed in a way that allows you to not deplete your boost gauge, getting a higher end level ranking becomes significantly easier. Or at least it's supposed to. With all this added speed, the level design will have to change to accommodate it. Unlike a game like Sonic Adventure 2, where a lot of focus is on precise platforming with the homing attack and every moves the game gives you, and the game's sections are speed-focused sections as a fun way of reaching the next platforming obstacle before slowing down and proceeding with the challenge the player needs to overcome. Boost Sonic goes for a more momentum-based approach with the levels. A lot of focus is on keeping your speed while rocketing through obstacles and enemies, with the homing attack being used as a quick way to defeat badniks and fill up your boost gauge, but also serves as the quicker way to cross gaps to access higher areas of the map. The game achieves this by making the maps into more tunnel or hallway-like designs, usually being mostly straightforward and being separated by turns, enemies, the ledges, and other obstacles like spikes or ledge gaps. Platforming takes more of a back seat in order for the thrill of the speed created by the boost mechanic to be fully utilized. You can think of it as like Sonic Heroes level design taken to the extreme. The challenge in the level design comes from maintaining the momentum you get from the boost as you try to conquer what the game has laid out for you. You may have to slow down briefly in order to defeat a few enemies or hit a button every now and then, but most of those serve as the light punishment for not going in the optimal path of the level, or just as a way to quickly fill up your boost gauge before continuing. Speaking of level design, one feature of Boost Sonic is the switch between 3D gameplay and 2D. It might seem odd that a 3D Sonic game would need to have sections that are 2D in it, and it is. Occasionally within a level, the game will shift into a 2D perspective, mostly to put more of a platform focus for one that otherwise wouldn't be as much. Sometimes the player will be trapped into a 2D loop until they go for the desired path the game wants, like in Sonic Advance 2. They generally worked as a short distraction in order to break up the level a little bit, or to allow for a stage to have a more vertically oriented section. Or at least they used to be. Nonetheless, 2D sections appear in every recognized Boost Sonic game, so for whatever reason, it is a common staple of the gameplay style. The last main element of Boost Sonic is some of the moves that Sonic can perform besides the boost, that are also consistent amongst most of the games. Now you have your usual Sonic moves that are a series staple by this point, like the homing attack, but there are areas that are more modern Sonic specific. The ones that might come to mind are the drift, trick system, sidestepping, and wall jump. And they are large staples of the gameplay style, but inconsistent with every game, thanks to Sonic Forces, so I don't think they work as well to cover a broad modern Sonic spectrum. The most important baseline moves that are relevant to this gameplay style that are present are the Stomp, Air Dash, and Slide. Now I know what I'm about to propose might seem a bit crazy, but hear me out. I believe that the first game in the series that fits the criteria for being a modern Sonic game is Sonic and the Secret Rings. Now I imagine this might be a pretty bold claim for some of you to accept, but I'll explain. Now for those unfamiliar with this game, it was made when Sonic Team realized that Sonic 06 wouldn't be able to run on the Wii, or run at all for that matter, but that's besides the point. They decided to develop a game specifically to run on the Wii instead. Eventually, it would morph into a completely different beast entirely, focused on mission-based, linear level design, and Arabian Night aesthetics. This was one of the first 3D Sonic games to break away from the previously established adventure formula and begin to forge a new identity for the Sonic franchise. Perhaps one might even say, a modern identity. Whoa. Speaking of modern, that level design sure looks familiar, doesn't it? Sonic seems to be forced in one direction, it seems. Enough kidding around though. As you can see, the automated movement and levels in Secret Rings do bear resemblance to the linear level design found in Unleashed and Onward. Like Unleashed, as well as other modern Sonic games, Sonic and the Secret Rings is focused on linear-based obstacle course style level design meant to test the player's reaction time. When it comes to the hallway-like level design, honestly there isn't that much that this game does that Forces didn't. Both have a heavy focus on automation, and when compared to games like Unleashed, it still has plenty of platforming to cross gaps with the use of the homing attack to string along enemies. Something else you might notice while playing is the use of the coveted 2D sections, a feature commonly associated with modern Sonic. To many, the use of 2D sections in a 3D game is a feature that began with Unleashed, but they actually made their first appearance in Secret Rings specifically in the levitated Ruin level, which is honestly half 2D if we're being honest. The frequency of these 2D sections is increased with subsequent entries in the series, since something is more modern and lazy level design. Outside of Levitated Ruin, these are mainly just used when Sonic is shuffling across the wall and you need to avoid hazards, but they exist nonetheless. 2D sections aren't the only modern aspects of Sonic that made their first appearance in Secret Rings, as several of Sonic's modern moves made their first appearance here as well. An example are the Stomp and Slide moves, which actually still exist in Sonic's moveset to this day in Forces. Perhaps the most important modern move Sonic gained in this game is the Boost. The Secret Rings incarnation of the Boost functions somewhat differently from the more refined version found in Unleashed. To fill it, you collect soul orbs that are scattered on the levels to defeat enemies. And rather than other modern games where you can control your movement and how much of it you want to use, in Secret Rings you activate the gauge and you rocket forward in one continuous, uncontrollable boost until the gauge runs out. It also serves as a way to get through the level faster and a way to dispose of enemies like in Unleashed Onward. Either way, the clear foundation for what the boost will become originated in Secret Rings. In fact, if you consider the fact that soul orbs act as the main collectible to increase the boost gauge in both Secret Rings and Black Knight, then that would mean that it would perfectly fit within the rule that the item that fills the Mon-Sonic boost gauge will only be the item for 2 games before being replaced. Much like how Rings and Wisp function within the rest of Mon-Sonic. And how about that homing attack, am I right? See that cursor icon on all the enemies? Yeah, get used to that, buddy, because that's sticking with the series to the end of time. Yet another Mon-Sonic mechanic that first found its way into the series with Secret Rings. Another move that originated in Secret Rings was the air dash. Yeah, you see that dash that Sonic does in the air when you swing the Wiimote? That's an air dash. Apparently, according to the Sonic Wiki, they claim that doing the homing attack before hitting an enemy counts as an air dash, which I don't believe at all. To prove my point, we can look at Sonic Colors. In that game, Sonic has a double jump instead of a single jump and a homing attack that you can use to defeat enemies when they're close by. But if you completely deplete your boost meter and you try to boost in the air, you do a dash. In the air, you know, like an air dash? A separate move? I'm not sure how something as sacred as the Sonic Wiki could get anything wrong, but I guess this is 2021 after all. Even boss battles in this game strike an uncanny resemblance to the modern style of Sonic boss fights. In previous games, boss fights were mainly in an open area, adapting to the typical 3D platformer boss fight style. From Unleashed onwards, boss fights in Sonic games became a lot more straightforward, you could say, mainly consisting of 2D or 3D chase sequences. Or did it? Wait, what's that over there? A linear chase battle in Secret Rings? Yes, once again, Secret Rings has been wrongfully ignored in its contributions to the modern Sonic gameplay lore. I mean, just look at 2D's battles side by side and tell me they aren't essentially the same. You can't. What's next? Are you gonna tell me that the Red Rings debuted in Secret Rings 2? Wait, what? Yes, even red rings, which weren't even introduced into colors, debuted in Secret Rings. Oh wait, my bad, I meant red soul rings. Totally different collectible, it totally doesn't look exactly the same and serve the same purpose that it does now. Even the bane of humanity itself, the mission system in Secret Rings, lived on in games like Unleashed Wii and Sonic Generations. And no, the missions in Sonic Adventure DX don't count. There's no GameCube port of Sonic Adventure, that doesn't exist. But even if it hypothetically did, it's entirely a side mode and not integral to progression like it is in Generations. The similarities between Secret Rings and Boost era Sonic games are too great to write off as a coincidence. Considering how many aspects of this game carried over into Sonic's modern game design, I don't doubt at all that the developers and Unleashed took more than a few glances at this game when developing the gameplay style. In conclusion, Sonic and the Secret Rings is very underrated with what ideas it brought to the modern Sonic table. And trust me, that'll be the only time you ever hear Sonic and the Secret Rings is underrated in the same sentence, so savor it. Secret Rings is basically like a beta version of what direction Sonic games end up taking in the future. Most of the elements that separate a Boost game from your typical adventure formula originated in Secret Rings.
But Ninja, what about Sonic Rush? It has the Boost.
Sonic Rush being a modern Sonic game? That's ridiculous. It actually has a plot. Wait a minute.
The trick system.
Greg.
What? Oh, what was I saying? Yes. For those who may not be in the know, Sonic Rush was a sort of canon DS side-scroller released in 2005. It utilized both screens and the immense power of the Nintendo DS in order to add certain 3D elements to the experience. At a glance, Sonic Rush may just look like your typical 2D Sonic game, but if you look a little bit deeper, you'll see that it's a lot more modern than it lets on. In fact, if you look just a tiny bit closer, slow down the footage, zoom in 300%, and hit Enhance Image, you may very well see that, I don't know, maybe the entire boost system is in place here. The boost meter is in full effect, powered by rings, as it should be. The level design was altered a little bit in comparison to previous 2D Sonic games, featuring a heavier emphasis on reaction-based obstacle courses rather than your traditional platforming. Or as a YouTuber from 2010 who wants to sound important might say, boost to win. Nah, I'm just kidding. But the game is very reminiscent of the modern Sonic formula, just entirely in 2D instead of being 95% 2D. The trick system is here as well, along with the previously mentioned modern moves such as the Stomp and, well, that's about it actually. Further evidence that Rush can be considered the first modern Sonic game is how the same exact gameplay and engine were later used to make the DS port of Sonic Colors. And if that doesn't prove my point, then I don't know what will. It even has the homing attack and the ability to let the game play itself through automated springs. Yay! Other than the boost system, however, a lot of the other elements of modern Sonic are still missing here. Cursors on enemies are absent, and the bosses are still more reminiscent of early 3D Sonic games. Perhaps most importantly, however, this game has one last similarity to its modern Sonic counterparts. They're all rushed.
At the end of the day, both of these games do show very clear signs of developing some of the modern Sonic gameplay traits. Now whether or not I want to point my finger at which one is truly the first modern Sonic game, honestly I'm not sure. On one hand, Sonic Rush did completely introduce the boost system, but at the same time it lacks many other aspects of how Boost Sonic functions, like the hallway level design in Secret Rings. That game introduced so many small changes, and also elements that would be carried into future modern Sonic games, like Red Rings and missions, so I find it hard to completely disregard its role in developing modern Sonic as a whole. I'm sure it was a mix of the 2Ds combined with the changes that the team introduced on release that truly led to how Boost Sonic functions today. At the end of the day, I feel like it's more of a matter of personal preference which one you feel like is the first modern Sonic game, or is at least more like a first modern Sonic game. But that's all I really have to say for this video. I guess you can leave your answers down in the comments, which I don't think I'll get many, because I don't get many comments, but hey, I can try, right? Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I don't have a segue, because I never do, but ever. Well, actually,